Today, Kwarteng, I warned Truss over her radical reforms. Joining me live from Whitstable, political commentator Tatton Spiller. Hi, Tatton. And from his Lichfield constituency, hello there, Conservative MP Michael Fabricant. Hello, Michael. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's start with you, Michael. Kwasi Kwarteng effectively washing his hands of most things. Firstly, of responsibility for causing any real trouble, saying there was already an economic black hole. He didn't make it any worse. I'm assuming he didn't imagine he made it any better in that very short tenure. But anyway, saying it wasn't really his responsibility, but also saying it was really Liz Truss's fault. She was pushing him to act far more quickly than he was really ready to go. What do you make of all of that?
There's a lot to make of. Well, I think he's right economically in that the black hole had developed, and it's the same in Germany, it's the same in the United States through COVID and all the rest of it. But to blame everything on Liz Truss, I think is a little bit ingenuous, if not incredibly ungallant, actually. I mean, he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and Liz Truss, to be honest with you, had been warned maybe not to appoint Kwasi Kwarteng as her Chancellor. If you press me a little bit more, and I think you might well be, Vanessa, I'll tell you that I know that some people have said to her that maybe he isn't always as thorough as he needs to be. And I can't help but think that if the Bank of England and the OBR had been briefed a little in advance, the budget could have been more of a success than it actually turned out to be. But, you know, a lot of 2020 hindsight going on there, I think.
I mean, I've never heard a phrase quite as euphemistic as the one you've just used, more of a success. It could have been more of a success than it turned out to be. Was it not an abject failure, propelling people into these appalling mortgage crises that they're still in and have no means at all of climbing out of? I mean, it wasn't just not much of a success, it was a catastrophe, wasn't it?
Well, actually, mortgage rates are falling and interest rates have fallen. So, yes, it was very, very poor show when the budget was actually done, and that's why we had a change in leadership. But now, you know, the economic situation is rectifying itself as far as interest rates are concerned. I mean, the interest rates, of course, are now being slowly raised by the Bank of England, but that all has to do with world inflation. And we know all about that, as they are, of course, in the United States, where interest rates are a lot higher than our own, as they are in Germany, and are beginning to do so in France too.
Michael,
but yes, I like to be optimistic.
It's also interesting, Michael, that you say that it's ungallant or unchivalrous of Kwasi Kwarteng to dob Liz Truss in this way. On the other hand, weren't the two meant to be not just esteemed colleagues, but dear friends, so close they'd written a book together, so close they lived round the corner from one another, genuinely relishing each other's company and cherishing each other's idiosyncrasies? And she's the one, isn't she, who sacrificed her pal, colleague, and their friendship on the altar of her own ambition, wanting, as she said, to stay in office because she was a fighter and not a quitter. She sacrificed Kwarteng. Isn't it absolutely fair and right that he at least gets a chance to have his say after all of this?
Well, I think someone should write a book about it. It sounds almost like a Jeffrey Archer novel, don't you think? They both live together, well, a little far apart from each other in Greenwich, which is a nice place to live, and we can't condemn them for that. I've got many friends in Greenwich and often visit them on the Thames Clipper, which if anyone lives in London, I highly recommend, by the way. But yes, all right, he's had his say. No doubt Liz Truss will have her say, and no doubt others will be writing books about precisely what happened in that turbulent, was it just 4 weeks? It seems like a lot longer.
I mean, I like the tour, the guided tour, the Sonne Lumiere tour of Greenwich that you decided to shoehorn in there, Michael. That was fabulous. Somehow a cul-de-sac there in the conversation. So what I'm going to do now, Tatton Spiller, is show you a little bit more of what Kwasi Kwarteng said to our own Tom Newton-Dunn here at TalkTV, and then I'll get your response to that. Michael, do pay attention to this as well. Don't keep Googling Greenwich on your phone while we're doing this. This is what Tom said.
You made the argument that the Prime Minister go slower at the time.
Well, I said actually after the budget that because we were going very fast, even after the mini budget, we were going at breakneck speed, and I said, you know, we should slow down.
And what did she say?
And she said, well, I've only got 2 years, and I said, you'll have 2 months if you carry on like this, and that's, I'm afraid, what happened.
And Tatton, it is what happened.
I mean, it is. It's an extraordinary interview from this guy. I mean, he said 2 days after the budget on Laura Kuenssberg's show, not on TalkTV, I'm afraid, but on Laura Kuenssberg's show, he said more is to come. Rather than studying the markets, like, we're definitely doing this. There's a lot of revisionist history going on here. There's a lot of... He said that he hasn't returned Liz Truss's call, like they're some year 12 couple swanning about school saying, yeah, he's texted me, but I haven't texted back. Like, I don't know where the maturity is here. He said that she was emotional. Like, would he have said that about a male prime minister? I don't know. It just, the whole thing reeks of egotistical selfhood. Selfhood, yes, selfhood. It's horrid.
I'm not sure what selfhood is, but I mean, it sounds like a
No,
kind of
nor am I,
narcissistic
but you know what I mean.
fetish that you've just invented on the television. We've had a tour of Greenwich. We've had a brand new word coined here on the show. We've only been going 7 minutes. We're going great guns already. Egotistical selfhood. I mean, it's not that, is it? Because that doesn't exist. There's no such word. It's self-justificatory. That's what it is after the
I
event.
don't think there's such a word as self-justificatory.
Fortunately, there is. You can rely on me only to use a word that already exists. But it's what he's doing is saying, this is what happened, but A, it wasn't my fault. B, I was omniscient throughout. I knew that we were doomed. I told her, I warned her, I tried to rein her in. I was the steadying hand on the tiller of Liz Truss. She wouldn't have it. She was headstrong. She was arrogant. She jet-propelled us into this unwise fiscal event, which I told her would backfire. In other words, I was right in every particular. She was wrong. She led me astray. She led the country astray. And then his exact words are that he said, you know, she was mad to fire him. People will ask, if you sacked the person who was doing what you wanted, why are you still there? He also repeatedly refused to apologise for pursuing the principle of the pair's economic agenda and warned Rishi Sunak he could not simply keep putting up taxes. Do you see anything, Michael Fabricant, salvageable or anything correct, anything that you think is something that you can at least agree with in what Kwarteng had to say?
Do you want a short answer?
You can do a long one, you can do whatever, if you want to do a tap dance,
I'll do a short answer first, and the short answer is no.
Oh, really?
I don't agree with any of what Kwasi had to say, really. Look, at the end of the day, he was Chancellor of the Exchequer. As I said earlier, there's a lot of 2020 hindsight going on. Mm-hmm. And as I also said earlier, you know, the ideas in the budget to stimulate the economy were good. But to do it without first relating to the Office of Budget Responsibility to demonstrate that if you do cut taxes, you can generate additional income. Mm-hmm. And that's precisely what has happened in the past with some Conservative budgets. But if you don't then square it with the Bank of England, who can square it with the hedge funds and the money markets, you're just lazy or you're stupid. One of the two, maybe both.
All right, let me ask Tatton Spiller about this. I mean, you have ample opportunity to pick over what Kwasi Kwarteng said. Where is his political career now, would you say? Is it salvageable? Might he rise like a phoenix from the ashes of this catastrophe or not?
Well, that seems to be his plan. He has apparently been all over the House of Commons cafes, and he's walking about now. Liz Truss is gone; she's absent. No one's seen her. Except possibly on the boat in Greenwich. Mm-hmm. No one's seen Liz Truss about, whereas Kwasi Kwarteng is doing big interviews and he's trying to put the past to bed, and he's not apologising to people who are now paying more expensive mortgages because of him. He says he has sympathy for them, so he's trying to roll with that punch rather than accepting full responsibility, which they're all signs that he wants to come back. Whether he can or not is a different issue.
Let me ask Michael Fabricant. Can he come back, Michael? Should he come back?
Well, first of all, I'm going to disagree with Tatton. Just introduce a little bit of controversy there.
Go
Tatton
on.
will forgive me, because I haven't seen Kwasi around at all, mm-hmm. but I have seen Liz Truss around. She's been in the tea room just chatting and, you know, which is rather nice, and telling us all to vote for Jonathan Gullis, who is another MP for a particular position, and good for her. Why not? But can he come back? Certainly not in the near future. But you know, politicians can reinvent themselves and often do. So what's this space?